The rod of reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. When the wicked are multiplied, transgression increases, but the righteous shall see their fall. Correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul. Where there is no vision, the people perish, but he that keepeth the law, happy is he. A servant will not be corrected by words, but though he understand, he will not answer. Seest thou a man that is hasty in his words? There is more hope for a fool than him. He that delicately bring up his servant from a child shall have him become his son at the length. An angry man stirreth up strife. A furious man aboundeth in transgression. Whosoever is partner with a thief hateth his soul. He heareth cursing and bewrayeth it not. The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whosoever put his trust in the I am shall be safe. Many seeks the ruler's favor, but every man's judgment cometh from the I am. An unjust man is an abomination to the just, and he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked. Psalms chapter 14 through 27. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have sway over the thoughts of men's hearts. And let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forever. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're walking with Mr. Clay, and I am Mr. Clay. All praises be to the I am. Yes, we give the I am praise and glory, because the I am will get the I am the victory. Yes, and we praise the I am's holy name daily as much as possible. Yes, we're in the book of Esther chapter 8 as you prepare, and we still see how God is delivering his children, the children of Judah. We ain't talking about Christians. My heart goes out for those who profess this false doctrine of Christianity that was deleted in Nigeria. Yeah, my heart goes out to them. But still, you're going to learn that we have to go by the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High, and that we cannot do. We wait upon him, that we might be able to do it with joy and rejoicing, or wait upon the Most High. Yes. In the book of Esther, we read where Haman was exposed in the last chapter, and he was exposed and his plan backfired. Just like we see the plans of today's nationalists and those who have ill will toward those who don't look like them, or those who are different than them. We see their plans going to be exposed, and also their demise is yet to come, and it's going to be hideous. If you're in a red line district, stay in your red line district. Don't worry about being among those who are destined for destruction. They're being mapped out because they know that you are not any threat to them. Unless you side and you've made an oath, then you have to deal with it too. Some shall be collateral damage because of their foolishness. But it shall happen. It will happen. It's going to happen. Now let's go back to the book of Esther, chapter 8. Esther chapter 8. And on that day did King Ahasuerus give the house of Haman and the Judeans' enemy unto Esther the queen. Yeah. She wasn't waiting for the sweet by and by, like many of Christianity try to do to deceive the people, and that when your priest or your preacher or those who call themselves Christians use you and that big deceitful sentence. We're not waiting for the sweet by and by. But God will deliver you today while it's called today. If you be willing and obedient, He will deliver you today. In the cities, Chicago, LA, all these things, He will deliver you. These are nothing but goon squads coming out. If they can delete you, they will, if they have a good, legitimate excuse. And you notice that even in historical accounts, that when they discovered the Americas, including the North and South, they had a few educated or rich men that came along with them. But the rest of them were nothing but goons, hateful. They didn't care nothing about human life. And this is the same when you look at these people that have joined these goon squads. These factions that say they're in to enforce or whatever. Really, if you really listen, they are very uneducated men. Most of them are uneducated, don't care. All they want is that bag. Life means nothing. Your dignity means nothing to them. So you cannot take that for granted. They don't care if you sue them. They don't care what you do because they're not going to pay it. Your city might pay it, or your federal government still coming out your taxes. So what are you going to do? But nevertheless, God will give your enemies unto your hand, just like He did with Haman and his house. And Mordecai came before the king, for Esther had told what he was to her. That's my cousin who raised me from a baby, is what she's saying. And the king took off his ring, and he had taken from Haman, and gave it unto Mordecai, and Esther set Mordecai over the house of Haman. Oh, God's going to give you all the earth. All the stories are for something. We shall inherit the earth. Those of us that obey the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High. It doesn't mean be like that New Testament till you turn the other cheek and all that. God said eye for eye, tooth for tooth. But then He says love your brother. And those that are following the same laws, love them. If they walk out of the way, you try to win them back. Yes, you can do that. Yes, that's true. If they will not come back, then you have to do what the law says. Take care of business. And Esther spake yet again before the king, and fell down at his feet, and besought him with tears to put away the mischief of Haman the Agagite, and his device that he has devised against the Judeans. What did he do? All throughout the land, he was telling his people to erase the Judeans, as they do even in this land, to try to erase by any means necessary, not to put yourself in harm's way. Seek soft targets first. It's what they're doing, yes. You can prove me wrong, but I won't be wrong. And they're doing it, and they're using their enforcement factions to do it. You see these men that speak Spanish, and some of them, they're Caucasian, and even some of them black, that carry out the wickedness of those who have authority in the land. Not only here, but many other places. Arabs, it's the same thing going on. The UK, all the other places. They are doing this thing. But then the time is up. You're checkmated. It's just when God gives this say-so. These other countries, they don't know what they're doing. They know they're setting up for God. They're setting up for the I am. And this is what is happening. Let us continue. I digress. But anyway, verse 4. Then the king held out the golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king. Again, if you go into where the king is, where his throne will, you have to. She bowed. She showed obeisance to the king because he was the ruler. Yes, even though she could have up to half the kingdom, she loved her people. So he held it out because he loved her and said, if it please the king, this is what Esther said in verse 5, if I have favor in his sight and the things seem right before the king, and I be pleasing in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman to the sons of Hammedatha and the Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Judeans which are in all the king's provinces. Yes. I don't mind that one, but either way. In the king's provinces. For how can I endure to see the evil that shall come to my people, and how can I endure to see the destruction of my kindred? Then King Ahasuerus said unto Esther, queen, and to Mordecai the Judean, behold, I have given Esther the house of Haman, and him they have hanged upon the gallows, because he laid his hands upon the Judeans. Write ye also for the Judeans, as it liketh you, in the king's name, and seal it with the king's ring. Remember, she had his ring. For the writing which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's ring may no man reverse. This man knew his position. He knew who he was and who he was at the time. So he wrote. And she wrote. And when the king's scribes called at that time in the 3rd month, that is the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof, it was written according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, or should I say the Judeans, and to the lieutenants and the deputies, and the rulers of all provinces which are from India to Ethiopia, and 127 provinces unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Judeans according to their writing and according to their language. You have to, Christian, get away from it. You have sold yourself. From a child, you have been bamboozled not to follow the laws, statutes, and ordinances of it doesn't matter whether you think Jerusalem is in the United States or Africa or whatever, or up in the Middle East. It doesn't matter, but that you follow the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. It matters that you don't follow a demigod or a prophet who has changed, who said he heard from an angel and have changed the word and the times of the Most High. Both are pagan in essence. One kisses a rock and points toward the rock. God is not in the rock. That is pagan. The same thing. Those who worship idols and have replaced God with saying, and the lie that rants throughout the Greek translated versions, that God has a son and he begets, when that is a lie. And everything that after it is a lie. That God has a new covenant. There is no new covenant. We'll get to that point yet. The new covenant will come in due time. But right now we have a covenant that we must keep. That we must endeavor to try to do the best we can to keep it until God reveals his new plan for the children of Jacob and those who would follow after his mandate for Jacob, as Jacob has agreed to. Yes. Verse 10, and he wrote in King Ahasuerus' name and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders and mules and camels and young dromedaries. Therein the king granted to the Judeans which were in every city to gather themselves together and to stand for their life, to destroy and to slay and to cause to perish all the power of the people, and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take a spoil of them for a prey. In other words, God told the people, now I give you authority to come against these people that come against you. Whoo! Wouldn't that be something? God gives you an armada and a people backing you up that says, go and take that which is yours, which they have taken. And there's nothing they can do with all the guns and nukes and everything they can muster. It will not work by the power of the Most High. Slay them like they have slain you in days of old and even to this day. Toss them around where they have tossed you. Cause them to starve and die where they have caused you to starve and die. Ooh, that would be something from the Most High. But the fact is, we do it because they are God's enemies. And God's enemies should be your enemies. Yes. Even this Jesus, by whatever name, he's an enemy. This entity, this is an enemy of the Most High, because he has caused the people of the Most High to err. And those who have wrote about him to error. You are in great error, Christian and Islamist. Great error. If you are the children of Judah, you are in great error. These are heresies. They are heretics. Everything, because they're only denominations of the Mosaic law. That's it. They only take what they need to control you out of the law and to get what can enrich them. That's it. Think about it. But the law gives you peace. It gives you freedom. Because the law is not a religion. The law is the law. It is the constitution of the children of Jacob. Yes, it is. Verse 14. So the posts that rode upon the mules and camels went out, being hastened and pressed on the king's commandments. And the decree was given at Shushan Palace. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel, blue and white. Blue. Blue is a very beautiful color. Blue. Yes. God's colors. Blue. First start with blue. Purple and scarlet, as they have translated. Three beautiful colors. Blue, purple, and scarlet. Yes. These was the colors of the portable temple. It's amazing how God chose those colors. Now, and the Judeans had light and gladness and joy and honor. Finally we vindicated. Finally we avenged. Finally. Because they prayed and they kept the commandments of the Most High. And earlier, as it says, they did not do the things after the law of the king. But it pleased the king because they were still law-abiding. They wasn't a troublesome people. No. Those you see out there that may look like dark skin or black, what you call black, that cause all the trouble, they are not Judeans. The true Judean will not go and wreak havoc throughout the land unless God mandates him or her to do so. And when they do, they will win. Period. There is no losing when we do as God has commanded us to do. No. Most of what people do are out of their own spirits, out of their own minds, and their impatience toward the Most High. Yes. But he went out, and the Jews had light, in verse 17. And in every province, and in every city whatsoever the king's commandment and his decree came, the Judeans had joy and gladness, a feast, a good day. We're no longer oppressed. We can become doctors, lawyers. We can have our big corporations. We can have our businesses. We can have our fields, and we can have our governments, and those who don't have can have help when they need it. Education can be free, where they took your college degrees, and college used to be free until they figured, well, the black man cannot be equal to us. But yet they rejoice. The wicked people are dead. To put it plainly, but we don't move in our time. We move with God's time and his leading. We don't go ahead of God. We walk behind God. He goes before us, period. Think. Doesn't mean you let people run all over you and stuff. Yeah, you have to defend yourself and your neighborhoods and your different establishments. But there's a time that's going to come where God's going to give you dominion. Yes, he is. Or should I say, the Most High is going to give you dominion. Yes, the Most High is. God is not a gender. And I'm steadily trying to get myself out of that habit of giving God a gender, as the pagans do. Well, I was pagan too, yes. Oh, yeah. But the pagans give God a gender. God is not a he, neither a she. God is a spirit. Everyone that worships the Most High will worship the Most High in spirit and in truth. That is a true statement. A feast, and the Judeans had joy and gladness. A feast and a good day, and many of the people of the land became Judeans for fear of the Judeans. In other words, they converted. They start keeping the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances of the Most High because they see that their God was with them and he is truly God. That's what happened. Yes, even your enemies, when they start seeing their people around them being subdued and God doing that thing which is right before you, they will bow their knees before the Most High and say, teach us God's laws and his ways, his statutes, God's commandments and ordinances. It ain't the fear of the Judeans, it was the fear of the Most High that came upon them. The Judeans had nothing. You can't take God's glory in for your own. This is why they rejoice. See, this is where this mixed up. For fear of the Most High, they fell down and they gave God the glory, even their own lives. And if we do that same thing, we will have peace.